You ain't nothing but a hound dog, the cry.
Into right, well hit. Back at the wall. It's off the wall. 1 run scores. Here comes Berkman. Freeze has tied it. 7-7. Unbelievable. Freeze hits it in the air to center. We will see you tomorrow.
Lights go out and it can be seen.
To the Spurs foul. Cincinnati goes for the 3 right away. Just attack the basket. James catches, puts up the 3. Won't go. Rebound box. Back out to Allen. His 3-pointer. Bang! Tie game with 5 seconds remaining.
A 3 wins the series. It's Lillard. He got the shot off. And the Blazers win the series for the first time in 14 years. Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Unreal. Malcolm Butler, who almost made the phenomenal play that wound up in Percy's arms. There are flags on the field for a celebration. Amazing. Bases loaded. 2 out. Hard hit into right. Back at the wall. Tie game. Big Poppy. The grand slam. Ezekiel Elliott, and he's got an opening. Elliott, off to the races. Can they catch him? No, they can't. Touchdown.
Ducks rush only 3. Winston has all day. Tries to escape, circles back, still alive. Loses the football, ball comes out. It's scooped up by the Ducks. And Tony Washington streaking to the end zone.
Remember, a blocked kick can go the other way, too. He's got to be careful and get it up.
On the way. No, returned by Chris Davis. Davis goes left. Davis gets a block. Davis has another block. Chris Davis. No flags.
Chris Davis, no flags. Still one of the greatest moments in sports history. I am Tommy Dean. This is Sports Hounds. I am not alone. I have Mr. Justin Hicks. Now, me and Mr. Justin Hicks have done a podcast before, and another time, long, long ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. So I reached out to Justin. I said, Justin, we had did one on the top 25 NCAA football teams for a whole season. We started college basketball that year, and it didn't end up finishing out.
that was the COVID year too, though.
That was the COVID year also. It was a lot of bullshit that happened that year.
Yeah, so we can only really talk like once.
But I said, I feel like I had so much fun doing it with Justin, and we had Justin's like me. He's a sports nut. He loves numbers. He loves statistics. He loves stats and about a little bit of everything. Justin's like me. He could probably watch just about any kind of sport. If I was bored enough, I could watch cricket. I could watch whatever. I will say the biggest sports nut I know is my old lady. Now, people might think I'm just saying that, but dude, she is like, she watches fucking curling and all. She watches the fucking lumberjack shit if it's on, the fucking cornhole toss on the. She will watch any of that shit, like to the point that I walk. Why the fuck are we watching cornhole? And yeah, I'm like,
she's a diehard.
She's a diehard. She
sure.
loves watching competition. She's a big Olympics fan. I mean, she loves watching shit like that. So,
see, I'm not crazy. I can watch the Olympics, like you said. We're sports guys. We like to what I mean. That's when the nation, bragging rights on the line. But there's been so much sketchy stuff over the last few years, man. What up, bada bing, baby?
Mikey, bada bing
in the building. Yeah, but no, we had a blast, and without thank you, that makes Tommy D my running mate, and
I'll be vice president.
I think you could probably do better than what we got. We can probably do better. I mean, I digress, but no, man, we had a great time with college football. That was a crazy year. Coastal Carolina, we was on them constantly. Next season or that season it might have been BYU, and
it was so crazy too because like what was so great about Coastal Carolina, it's just the little small stuff was. When I got here, my old lady was not a college football fan. She is now, but when I got here, she wasn't, which is fair enough. She lives in she's from Missouri. What does Missouri got to brag about with college football, really?
Yeah,
I remember we were watching Coastal Carolina that year, and then we ended up like the very next year going to South Carolina on vacation. And where we was like up near Myrtle Beach, Coastal Carolina was right down the road, and like I didn't even realize we were there till we were there. I didn't know that school was right there. And next thing I know, I looked to our left. And oh shit, there's Coastal Carolina College. And when we left, they were out there practicing after running scrimmages. And I just thought that was cool. I was like, well, damn, there's Coastal Carolina. She's like, that's cool as hell. I was like, yeah, that is kind of cool. Because now it was cool to me because she knew who the hell Coastal Carolina was.
None of us did till that year, though.
I didn't know who the hell that was. I had never heard of them. Now, I played a lot of NCAA where there were schools that I played with when I was growing up. I was like, who the hell is this? And it's the same thing with college basketball. College basketball throws schools at you. You have no idea where they're at. You're like, where the hell is that? Like, but
they finally on those college football games they started putting them like NCAA FCS or something instead of all the
Michigan Wolverines. Oh, I got them wrote down. We're actually going to talk about them.
Yeah, that thing I sent you the financial standpoint. It was kind of cool because it showed. It kind of shows. We talk about A&M and Texas, and Michigan's right there up there with them with the top grossing, most money, big money schools. So, yeah, they're obviously the talking point in every sport.
I seen the most richest schools. I think Auburn came in at 9th or some shit like that, or 8th or something like that.
It says 9th, but it's like a tie for 8th. So, tie for 8th or 9, whichever. The funny part
there was probably 6 until they've had to pay Gus all that damn money to get his ass out of town.
5th, top 5, yeah.
Yeah, his top 5. Like, well, we spent a couple million on a coach that ain't no longer here. We kind of do that here at Auburn. We love
That's
our
the thing
coaches.
About college football, man. We're in the wrong business. We should have tried to get on that sideline. I would love to be fired by a college. Make $4 million every 2 years for setting a home.
I'd like to have Lane Kiffin's job where I just like to go to different colleges just for no reason and got paid for doing a half-ass subpar job. So,
oh man,
oh my goodness,
we had fun with Lane though. I think the whole country. If you're into college football, Lane Kiffin's kind of like he's that guy you love to hate. He's the biggest heel in college football. No, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't. I
think Saban holds that crown.
I was gonna say, yeah, Saban is like the. I don't want to say MJF because people love MJF. Saban is. I guess he's on God mode, right? Could we say with those Alabama fans, he is. With those Alabama fans, he is.
Yeah. Speaking of Saban, let's go ahead and jump into the NCAA section of this. We're gonna go ahead and start off with which has been the entertaining thing of the all season. Yeah. They started talking about the paying of players, and I guess Nick Saban had a few words about Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M saying, I don't have his recording, but I got Jimbo's comments here. It was basically Saban said, Saban trying to made it was such a shitty remark. It was along the lines of basically he tried to paint Alabama as the hard working school that's going out and getting recruits and building a team, and he painted Texas A&M as the college and the team that is paying these players and cheating or whatever the case you want to call it. It was an over-the-line comment that never should have been made from someone of the caliber of Nick Saban. I mean, I thought it was pretty petty. It was such a petty – reason it was so petty, if Nick Saban hadn't got all those championship rings, he makes his comment, it's not looked at that much. When you're sitting there with all these rings on your fingers, you're the top guy in college football, you're at the top school in college football, and you got the nerve of a Texas A&M team that's already been struggling to hang an SEC, and you're like already trying to put your proverbial foot on their throat and keep the pressure on when you're probably not even going to be around the next 3 or 4 years. I mean, let's be realistic. So I don't see Saban there in another 3 or 4 years.
He's getting older. He's
getting older. But the things that I've always felt about Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher did not hold back whatsoever. So let's take 2 seconds and hear Jimbo Fisher's comments about Nick Saban.
We built him up to be the czar of football. Go dig into his past or anybody that's ever coached with him. You can find out anything you want to find out, what he does and how he does it. And it's despicable. It really is. And it's a shame we have to sit up here and have this conversation about things we do. And it's personal to us? Yes, it is. It's personal to A&M. It's personal to our players. It's personal to our coaches and everybody involved. And I know the guy. Know him really well. It's amazing that we're allowed to do those things. It's really despicable. And I hate it. For our players who are coming here, who did things the right way, have done things the right way, and will continue to do things the right way, I apologize to you that people insult you publicly the way they're doing it. And our fans, I apologize to you guys for people saying those things about Texas A&M. But promise you this, there are no violations. There are nothing wrong.
I mean, he really dug his heels into Nick Saban. And of course, Saban ended up apologizing for the comment later on that said he was out of line. But you could tell that was frustrating that Jimbo's been holding back for a minute, and when he's been waiting to lash out at Saban.
That's what I was going to say, too. You know, you mentioned the championships. He won one at LSU, right? His OC, his coordinator was Jimbo Fisher. He was the guy at Florida State. You know, he was the predecessor to Bowden. But when the LSU job came open after, I think, I'm not sure if it was Les. Yeah, it was Les Miles. Yeah. Who wants the job? Jimbo was very, very high on the list, and he winds up going to A&M, I think, the next year. But, again, you look at the finances, Texas and Texas A&M, we were talking a little bit earlier when we first came on, they're tied at $147 million in revenue, right? That's what they got. Texas has finally tied them. It was always Texas A&M. So I guess Nick Saban knew. Of course he knew that. If me and you know that, he knows that.
He knows that.
And he's throwing a dig that. Hang on one second, Tommy.
Yeah, he's definitely throwing some digs at him.
I got to hang on one second.
You're fine. Go ahead, buddy. He is definitely fearful that Texas A&M has enough money that they can back Alabama up into a corner when it comes to recruiting. It's already starting to show. Texas A&M's recruiting is already starting to get better. Texas A&M's already starting to get better as a college. They're slowly been creeping up from behind. Nick Saban knows not only does he have to deal with Texas A&M, he's having to deal with Georgia and Kirby Smart. And Kirby Smart and them are beating their back. They just beat them for the national championship. This is not the same SEC that King Saban has been the king of the past years to come. And now we can go ahead and talk about it. We have more teams coming to the SEC. You have Oklahoma coming. You have Texas coming. What do you think that's going to do against recruiting? Because I can guarantee you one of the selling points of recruiting to get the fucking man and son there at Texas was, hey, we'll be in the SEC next year, son. We're not going to be in the Big 12. You'll be playing the big schools on the big TV for the big time prime time. You'll be playing Nick Saban probably. You'll probably be playing LSU in Death Valley. So why not come to Texas where we damn sure got the money to back up whatever the hell you need? Because now Texas is a big school. There's no way that they're fucking broke. Oklahoma's a big school. No way they're broke. and now you got them in the SEC. Nick Saban knows what's happening. He knows in 5 or 6 years he's obsolete from college football. He's not going to be the man no more. This money situation is going to cause too much riffraff for Nick Saban to own the recruiting trail like he's been owning that shit. It's already showing. It's already starting to show.
And you made a great point with all this money, all this revenue coming in, Texas and OU. Arch Manning is a prodigy before he's played the first game just based on name alone.
Number one quarterback in the fucking nation.
Yeah. The royal family of football. We look at it like that. I mean, it seriously is. They're the first. I hate to say it, the first family of football because they all from Archie. Yeah, Archie wasn't the greatest, but look at what he produced. If we're a stud horse, okay, he's Secretariat or he's one of those. He's Seattle Slew. He's one of those boys.
Hey, boy, they definitely going to have some arguments on Christmas because you got a Texas player, a Tennessee player, and 2 Ole Miss players. Yeah, they all pretty much went to different schools except for, fucking Archie and Eli.
Yeah, you're right. Archie and I was under the impression, I'm like, man, he's got Ole Miss. Ole Miss is finally, but they had sanctions years back, obviously, with Hugh Freeze. So you're like, man, what happens? I feel like Arch Manning, if he goes there, he's turning it all around, and Ole Miss is going to be on something. But no, man, and another Saban assistant. We were just talking about that. The college football landscape's filled with them, from Jimbo to Lane to Kirby to Muschamp. Well, he's fired now, but
have you noticed too that these NCAA coaches are starting to get like LeBron James in the free agent market? They don't have no loyalty to no one anymore. They go to one school. They go to one school. Someone sees them and says, "Hey, we'll give you some more money." They're like, "Bye."
I firmly believe too, and I'm staying in the same subject of matter that we're talking about, but with this NIL deal, the name and likeness image, if me and you are at, we'll use your team, Auburn, because West Virginia, I got no hope for them. At least you're in a relevant conference that's not dying, and you're not on the back end of it. So
if we win 7 games, dude, we'll be lucky.
Bro, if we win 7 games, we're still losing our bowl game, but I'm celebrating.
Of course.
I'm celebrating like, we won like it was 2007 again. But no, say if we're at Auburn and we got to compete with these other schools about getting a player like out of an Alabama. With this NIL deal, I feel like we can throw the money, even if you got – see, I'm thinking of this. So, we'll say, I don't know, Buffalo Wild Wings, right? Sports Wings beer. They love handing out. They've already handed out a couple of these NIL deals to random players across each sport. So why don't we give Buffalo Wild Wings $3 million? This NIL has opened a whole new, it's basically like Pandora's box, a whole new can of worms. So we can be like, hey, take this out of my funding. You pay him, and we get the kickback. We got him, back in 09, 08, Cam Newton, he was criticized for $500K, $250K, $75K. But now it's, you got guys that are getting $2 million deals, $3 million NIL deals. And I just feel like, we got our Boomer Sooner on here.
Oh, Lordy.
Well, and I mean, that's just what it is. And I think you're right. Saban had just lost that national championship to an assistant. So what's he going to do? He's going to throw, piss and vinegar at Jimbo Fisher because he's mad he didn't get his championship.
I mean, and Alabama fans don't want to admit this, and I know they're probably saying this. I'm only saying this because I'm an Auburn fan, but it's not. That's not the reason. I'm completely unbiased when I say this. Nick Saban has this complex about himself that he thinks that his opinion matters that much, when at the end of the day he's just another head coach, just like the other 100 and something teams that are out there. It always pisses me off too. Like if there's going to be a rule change, they run to Nick. Nick, what do you think about such and such? Who gives a fuck what he thinks? Of course, he's going to say whatever he thinks fits.
Yeah,
it's going to benefit him the most as a college football coach. It's the same thing that anyone else is going to say if you go and ask them.
Yeah.
You know, if he don't clearly he's made it clear he don't like the paying of the players, even though, my God, Nick, out of all people to say it.
Do you think it has a thing to do with, okay, he was in the NFL, he was not successful. He was a little more successful than Urban, but he was not that successful. And you look at that, you're paying these guys. They don't have to listen to you as much. If you're in the NFL,
well, the college football world is getting so more NFL-ish because you got so many players now. So now they're getting paid, and you got guys now that will be at top schools like Ohio State or someone and transfer and go to fucking Purdue.
Yeah.
Just so they can start.
Washington,
and,
it happened.
Washington or somewhere like that, just so they can start, because Ohio State has 4 or 5-star quarterbacks. We're just another 5-star quarterback at Ohio State, but at Washington, you're the man. You're the man. You're not going to have to really work for nothing. So it's, I don't know, man. And I think that's what he probably scares him too, because he knows that it's going to come to a point where he tries to tell some 18-year-old kid to get your ass back in the huddle. This kid's done made a couple of million off likenesses. He's arrogant. He's cocky. He was the number one recruit in the state, you know, that he's from. And he come here to play for Nick Saban. I ain't got to listen to your shit, Nick. You come to recruit me. Remember that?
Yeah, I'm going to Texas.
You needed me. That's what you told me and my mama sitting in my living room. You needed me. I don't need you. You told me what's probably one of the biggest hooks lines, and I know Nick uses it. Every recruiter probably uses it. It's not what I can get out of you, but what can you get out of the University of Alabama? Because I guarantee you that's how they sell that shit when they go in there and sit down with these kids. So what can you get out of the University of Alabama? Well, the way he's looking, well, I've already got a couple million out of it. I don't really need to stick around no more.
Yeah, let's go to Texas A&M.
Let's go to Texas A&M. Jimbo ain't got an attitude problem. He don't mind. He don't mind if I don't want to get in the damn huddle on a Saturday because it's hot outside.
He's going to pay me more. He's going to pay me more.
That's what people don't understand. Texas got oil money.
Yeah, Texas.
That oil money is a whole lot different than cotton money, folks. Cotton is Alabama. You know, Alabama's got cotton. Texas has oil. That's two different types of money there that you're talking. So.
We're definitely, as a nation right now, we're more dependent on oil than we are cotton. I'll tell you that right now.
I don't think I'd hate to see what the cotton industry is like. I bet you that shit's horrible. I think, but Alabama also has what do you call it? Yellowwood, the big Yellowwood. I know people might laugh, but that's a big money maker. Yellowwood.
Yeah.
It sells in every fucking Home Depot, every Lowe's, they're in everything. So that's where a lot of their money comes. I think that's where a lot of Auburn's money comes from too, is like from down there from Yellowwood and stuff. But
I think the reason WVU and Marshall are, you know, again, this is my home state. I love it. We're not a college basketball state either. I mean, we enjoy it. We got Huggins and all that, but our main industry, coal, obviously, is dying, so it's dead. But second is methamphetamine. So
they're keeping all the Walgreens single-handedly.
Yeah, so we ain't getting nobody. We're going to get a bunch of just dudes.
They say they can't afford gas, but by God, matches and camp fuels sold through the roof around there, huh?
Sudafed, our top NIL supporter. Yeah.
Let me pull up the hold on 2 seconds. I want to pull this up real quick. Then we're gonna go into our next subject. Okay. Get out of college football. Let's see here. This was the top 25 of college football as we know it right now. You got San Diego State at 25th, Utah State at 24th. You got Iowa, Oregon, Arkansas, NC State, number 20, rounding it out. BYU, Kentucky, Houston, Louisiana, Wake Forest. That rounds out the top 15. And you got Clemson, Pittsburgh, Utah, Ole Miss, Oklahoma coming in at number 10, Michigan State at number 9, Notre Dame at number 8, Oklahoma State at number 7, OSU at number 6. Baylor at number 5, Cincinnati at number 4, Michigan Wolverines at number 3, and Alabama at number 2, and Georgia at number 1. Speaking of Michigan,
Bada Bing's team, number 3, man.
does how much longer do they get to keep that head coach that was about out the door? I believe he was. I think he was about out the door this year. I think he was really considering leaving until they probably lured him back.
Yeah. I feel like the one playoff run, right, this year was just different. They finally overcame the odds. They won the Big Ten. They beat Ohio State. The things he hadn't done in his tenure, made it to the playoff. I feel like that in itself. I'm not knocking Michigan fans at all. They're long suffering. It's been a while. I think 2000. It was 1999 or 2000 when they won their last national championship, maybe even before. I wasn't watching college football at that time. I was a youngin'. So I know 2002 was about the time I got into it, and Michigan was still there, but not as prominent as they are or have been in the past. I think it's up to Jim and whatever job comes available. And you see, I was talking about this earlier. Jim Harbaugh has a pro-style offense.
Mm-hmm.
No quarterback on that team sticks out to me, and hasn't in a while since he's been there, to be honest. I'm not knocking on them. They're athletic. Of course they can throw. They know how to play quarterback. But if you're looking for a Heisman Trophy winner or any kind of accolade, they're not going to give it to you. They're not going to give you 500 yards passing, 6 touchdowns a game. They're not going to be the most outstanding player of the year. I think Jim is more pro style. I just mentioned that. He runs that. He's had to. This past year, his brother, John, sends one of his defensive assistants to be his D coordinator. That helped tremendously. But that guy's gone back to the NFL now. He's like, all right, I helped your brother get his Big Ten championship. Things getting crazy. We got USC, UCLA. I ain't traveling from to USC to play a game. Let's get back to the NFL. I honestly feel like if not this year, next year, Jim Harbaugh is gone because I feel like some jobs are going to open up. You look at the current quarterbacks, and I don't mean to switch things up again, but look at I guess you would say LA. I almost called them the San Diego Chargers. I love Justin Herbert to death. He should have been in the playoffs. I'm scratching my head at why he wasn't. And that team is just getting better. They got J.C. Jackson in offseason, and they traded for Khalil Mack.
I can remember all the way back to his rookie season and the podcasts as I were on. I kept telling everyone Justin Herbert is going to be a beast. Justin Herbert's going to be a beast, and I got laughed at.
I was laughing at. He's my favorite quarterback, and I would have.
He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. The dude is awesome, man, and I really do hope that maybe he gets San Diego going in some kind of way. I wouldn't be mad if the Chargers woke up doing something.
And that is, that's in your same division conference, but division, and so that's tough. Y'all got a tough division overall.
Yeah, it's on my list over here.
Yeah,
Jimmy.
that's coming up. I'm sure that's a hot topic over these last.
Yeah, it's. I've been posting in the chat room. I was ranting about it from the first day I seen it.
I love Jordan, by the way. But that's
as you said. Also, you also got USC, and you also got USC and UCLA.
Well, UCLA, jumping to the Big Ten. Chip Kelly there and Lincoln Riley with that massive $100+ million biggest college football.
Do you think Chip Kelly said, "I come out here to get away from all that damn stiff competition, and I'll be damned if the damn school I don't go to, the one school." Okay,
giving him a shot too. They're the one that needs him, wants that recognition back.
One of the things you sent me was the Pac-10 was founded. Well, now it's the Pac-12. It won't be for long. It'll be back to being 10, but was founded in 1915, and it could die. This could be the end of the Pac. It's starting, and you know, I was sitting here saying the other day, and I can't stand it. But it's not going to be too much longer before we're going to have to change the name of the SEC. Texas is not the Eastern. That's I mean, it's not Southeast. That's Midwest. You know, if West, if nothing else. Oklahoma's nowhere near the Southeast. That's horrible. I mean, really you consider Missouri's not the Southeast. So there's too many teams that's going to be in it. You know, and God, man, and the only thing I think about when it comes to USC and UCLA being in the Big Ten is the travel.
See, I'm glad you bring that up. And you just mentioned 1915. Thank you for bringing that up because I was sitting here thinking, I heard Colin Cowherd, who has the worst takes on television humanly possible, how he has a TV show, a radio show, and he's a millionaire by talking sports is beyond.
He's got the best blow, man.
He's got something. Yeah,
he's got the hook up for the blower. He's got dirt on someone. Someone gave his ass a show for a reason.
Yeah,
there's a reason.
I thought you meant crack cocaine there for a second.
That is what I'm talking about.
Oh, he is. He mentions this guy is a Southern California. Well, he's not from Southern California, but he's lived there. He's lived in Vegas. I think he's back in Southern California now. All you hear about is USC, UCLA, all the big blood, the blue-blooded colleges, the blue blood colleges.
You almost want to go, dude, it's not the year 2000.
Yeah, and he does this all the time. And you're like, okay, he's a Pac-12 supporter. I hear this fool on there the other day. He's talking about what a great move it is for USC and UCLA. And then he says, what's the Pac-12? It's going to be dead soon anyway. If you're a college football fan, me and you're diehard college football fans, right? The Pac-12 and basketball. You look at basketball, UCLA has more championships than any other. I'm talking Duke, UNC, Kansas. I already said UNC. Just all these Michigan State, just all these blue-blooded Kentuckys. They got more basketball NCAA Final Four championships thanks to John Wooden and a couple other coaches in between that time or after that time period. And this guy's just like, okay, Pac-12's dead. Let's go. Who cares? You've been preaching this for 15 years now about how big the Pac-12 is, and as soon as they jump up and go, you don't think that's going to affect their playing time going to Ohio State 3 hours ahead of them, and vice versa when Ohio State has to come to USC? What about the Rose Bowl when the automatic bid for the Big Ten and the Pac-12, usually 9 times out of 10, that's who's playing in the Rose Bowl, where it used to be before all this playoff stuff. Like, the Rose Bowl is dead now pretty much. Not dead, but you have your biggest name. That's your USC is your catalyst school, the team you look at. They might not have been there in a minute, but you're like, okay, that is synonymous with Pac-12. UCLA, same thing. You look at the SEC, football, it's Alabama, it's Auburn, it's LSU. You look at the Big Ten, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State. It makes no sense why these guys are like, okay, this is great for college football. No, it's not, because we're on the verge of what seems to be like a three-team super conference that I don't even know how that works. I truly don't. If we are going to have 4 teams in a playoff.
If you're going to do that, then you're going to have to extend the playoff.
Absolutely. And they can say 8. If we want to do something, I heard 3. Paul Feinbaum has reported that. Colin Cowherd has reported that. Heather Dinich, who I hate, and it's not because she's a woman.
You could do if you're going to do that, you have to put every college in one of those three brackets. So then you're going to have to end up having like a 16-team playoff or something because like I said, I suggested years ago that they should just do it where if you win your conference, you get in.
Yes.
It didn't make a damn what conference you were in. It got you in. If you were in Conference USA or something and you won, you got in. Of course, you would be, you have a lower seed or whatever. I mean, you would be fucking like playing the big dog right off the gate because you come from
Georgia,
from Bama or someone because you come from Conference USA, of course. But that would be then no one could have an argument. Like I said, I don't give a damn if your record was 7-7. If you won your conference, you get a shot at the championship in the playoff because, of course, and everybody will say, well, they don't belong there. Well, that's going to play itself out eventually. And of course, you get first round buys to teams that like had the harder ones, like Alabama or someone or some shit like that.
The NFL format, or
pretty much. You could literally do that and do it with college teams and give everyone a fair shot at it. I just don't think. I already know what's going to happen, and they might as well go ahead and just make it 16 fucking teams or something because they're going to give them 4. They're going to bitch. They're going to give them 6. They're going to bitch. Then they're going to give them 8. They're going to bitch until they finally get it. They say, well, we got to give them 16. You might as well just make it like almost March Madness in a way. Like that's about the best way you could do it.
I like that idea, especially with all this super conference talk, because yes, football is your cash cow. But I have sent you this too. What does this do for college basketball? And we're huge college basketball fans, admittedly. Like I got this. This is from
me for sure now that my team don't suck anymore.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, and same. I mean, I got a better shot at seeing WVU at least do something in my lifetime than I do in football and basketball. But this is per Yahoo Sports 2 days ago. Big 12 could be adding Cincinnati, Houston, UCF, along with possibly BYU. We don't know. Texas and OU's already in the SEC. The Pac-12 may die. I wrote that down. I don't know. RIP.
See, that don't make no sense. Wouldn't it make more sense to put like Cincinnati and them in the Pac? I mean, not the Pac, but the ACC.
That's what I'm saying. I actually put down here AAC, ACC. Why don't they expand? The Pac-12 and the Big 12, why don't they expand and just form another conference? That way we would at least have 4 conferences where we have 4 teams, okay? It don't have to be Power 5. We can call it Power 4. We can call it Super Conference, whatever. But we would have one team per – it's just – I don't know why they want to do this. I almost feel like these guys in charge, these athletic directors, these schools in the NCAA themselves, some people love it. I don't. I don't think it's – again, these guys are saying, "Oh, it's great if USC and Ohio State are."
It is mind blowing how much college football has changed since I was just a kid. And I'm not but 38 years old. You know what I'm saying? That's not that long ago. Like when I was in junior high, just think about that. Like how much it's changed. Like you could have asked me then what conferences from which side, East or West or whatever. Within this conference, I could have told you. Now it's like fuck. I don't know. Maybe they're still in that part of it. I don't know. They keep changing the shit.
Yeah, they
now
do.
I don't know.
I don't even know. I'm not afraid to admit this at all because they'll even have like Notre Dame is in the ACC in basketball, but in football they're independent. They play the ACC, but they pick who they want to play also. And how can you be an independent and in a conference? They're also talking about going to the Big Ten, by the way. The Big Ten wants to try and steal UNC, Clemson, Florida State, Miami, and maybe I said maybe Big Ten bound. So there's 4 more teams. That's like 22 teams in a conference. How is that even possible? Of course, super conference. I get it, but this don't even sound right when you say it. Florida State playing USC again regularly and Ohio State. That should be a championship bowl game caliber. I don't want to see that in the regular season. That's the WrestleMania payoff, right? In wrestling terms. That's what we want to try to get to. I don't want to see that in September unless they try to schedule the game like that. That's fine then, but I'm not trying to see that in September and October where it's knocking both blue blood college football teams out of contention. And then you go to the basketball world and it's just, oh my God. If you're a basketball coach or player, you're just like, okay, fine. They need to make the one and done rule be gone. We could go straight to the NBA because I don't want to play there. Who knows if we're going to even be in the Big Ten next year, or not the Big Ten, sorry, the ACC, if you're going to UNC. Could you imagine UNC and Duke not playing in college basketball?
That was stupid.
That's virtually, I don't know, but I look at how WVU, for me, okay, not everybody's going to say, oh, WVU, Virginia Tech, that's a fantastic rivalry. For me, it was. Now we don't play, and
Right.
it's mind-boggling, but I guess Mark Emmert, NCAA, they all know best, as always.
If you're a betting man, I have some odds here. If you're looking to bet in the pack this year, they have USC favored to win the pack at plus 200. Utah comes in behind them at plus 250. They got Oregon at plus 1,000. UCLA comes in behind them at plus 1,000, and then you have Washington at plus 1,200. The ACC, they actually have Miami winning it all at plus 700. North Carolina State comes behind them at 9. Then you got North Carolina at 1,200. Wake Forest at plus 400. Florida State at 2,200. I honestly, listen, I can't bet on fucking Miami. There's just no way. Miami is just such a flippy flop damn school.
And have been for what?
But I will admit that I know that I have noticed that North Carolina State's got better.
Yep.
North Carolina has got as a better football team. Wake Forest had some big moments last year. Florida State is one of those schools that has fell way the hell off from where they was. From that, especially since they just won a national championship.
Yeah, Jimbo. After Jimbo left, they kind of fell completely into the abyss, I guess, if you want to call it, whatever you want to call it.
We got some fast NFL talk. Really quick on the NFL. We don't have a whole lot of news on it right now because we are in an off season.
Who would you take for that ACC championship, by the way?
ACC championship.
If you had to bet, just throw a bet out there. Any team. I guess I would say, I hate to, but Clemson, just because I don't know. I know they went way underwhelming. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, you're fine. I would probably take North Carolina State or North Carolina, man.
Okay.
Yeah, Clemson. It's hard to bet against fucking Clemson, dude.
It is. I just like, I don't like Dabo, but I like the odds are in his favor if he's there. But
he's definitely a big fish in a small pond. In the ACC for sure. You also got the NFL real quick to talk about the NFL real fast. We got the Steelers are changing their name, their stadium. As me and Justin was talking about, they lost the rights to use hounds. There's no telling what it could be. It could be anything. Who knows what the hell they'll end up being. Also, you had Baker Mayfield that got traded from Cleveland to Carolina. It looks kind of odd in seeing him in a Carolina uniform. Watson to Cleveland, but Watson's probably not going to be able to play. In short, Cleveland doing what Cleveland does, making Cleveland moves. Because without Cleveland being Cleveland, who the hell would we have entertainment from to make dumb moves like that other than the Cowboys?
They are the Cowboys of the AFC, except worse. That's the best way. And the Cowboys at least have some rings, some Super Bowls, some actual Super Bowls.
Well, yeah, I mean, but Dallas at least gets players, whether they're terrible or they're horrible, they hold on to them.
Yeah, and
they try to work it out with them. Cleveland's trying to do too much. They're always trying to do too much, and it always ends up biting them in the ass.
Yeah,
they should have kept Baker. There was no reason to get rid of Baker. I mean, I understand Baker had a rough year or two. But you just don't. I say you should have stuck it out with him to roll the dice on Deshaun Watson.
They extended Baker for the year. They're like, we're all in on Baker.
Yes, that's the joke. Is that literally he's going to get paid to try to beat them when the season starts. That's their first game. Week 1. That's their game. It's Carolina versus fucking Cleveland.
So instead of the option, they're like, okay, we might as well. Who are we going to get? Let's go get the guy accused of 24 and guilty until innocent until proven guilty, whatever. I'm not going to get into that, but
regardless, it's the same thing that I say about Colin Kaepernick. Why do you want that attention on your team?
It's that.
Why do you want that distraction? It's going to take away from the football game. It's going to take away from the locker room. It's going to put all this fucking limelight. You're going to have someone on that team that's going to have 4 touchdowns, and the only thing they're going to talk about is either the politics that Kaepernick comes with or the sexual assaults that Deshaun Watson has. It's not worth it, man. It's not worth it to get into it like that. Speaking of Colin Kaepernick, let's talk about him for a second. I don't like to give him a whole lot of fucking attention, but
he deserves it sometimes. Good to know he's out there.
And just let's go ahead and just put it out there, because I'll go ahead and just tell everybody. Everybody knows I'm a pretty free out the mouth person. I'm not the type that keeps my mouth closed about a lot of things, but I don't have a personal problem with Colin Kaepernick's political views. My problem with Colin Kaepernick is he's a whore.
He is, man. He is.
He's a whore. I mean,
I know what
I can't take someone serious who makes a documentary about NFL being a slave trade and then turns around and begs to come back to the NFL. How can you take someone serious after that? You can't, man. You can't.
It's Brian Flores, which we got in Pittsburgh now. He's in Pittsburgh, but same thing. He wants to coach the way you said. Yeah, and you explained that to me. You're like, if he feels like this is a slave league, or if he feels like this is racially justified, why does he want to work there? Why don't he go to college? And why does Colin Kaepernick want a job? And I agree with you 100%. I hadn't looked at it like that before. And by the way, Colin, if I'm not mistaken, again, these are reports. He's had some workouts. The Raiders worked him out this year. When all this first happened, the Baltimore Ravens, it was like a year or 2 years later, and he took his girlfriend. And first, you mentioned whore. He did some very slutty things. He switched locations first, okay? Ray Lewis was the one that helped him between Biscotti and I think Ozzie Newsome was there at the time. And he was like, let's give Cap a shot. Ray Lewis is retired, but he's an ambassador of that team. When you think Ravens football, it's Ray Lewis, right?
You're right.
So, yeah, let's give Cap a workout. He switches locations when he gets there. I don't know how the workout. Some said terrible. Some was like, oh, he's terrific. I don't think he's ever been terrific. And I'm not saying that. I watched him play in college, Nevada. He was good for a college quarterback. And he was
that was always my thing with it was, regardless of what he wants to believe, why he was pulled from being a starter. At the fact of the matter is that at best, he's a backup quarterback in the NFL. At best.
At this point, this many years.
He's been out for a minute. People don't realize he's been out 7 years.
7 years, that condition. Look at Michael Vick, obviously different situation.
Well, he was in prison. He was probably working out because he was bored as hell. Yeah,
well, he talked about the conditioning coming back to the NFL after only 2-3 years.
Yep.
He's like, it was crazy. It was intense, and he was never the same player. Obviously, he had some. But
I feel the same way about Tyson too. After Tyson did jail time, I don't feel like he was the same fighter.
No, they can work out all they want, but they're not on the gridiron or in the ring. They're not doing what they're accustomed to do, and
that's the difference too. Is he's in there training with fucking Joe Paul, who's never had a professional training moment in his professional career. That's who he's in there training against. He's not out here training with professionals. In professional environments like they should be doing. So they can train as much as they want to. They're never going to be the same person. Warden Sapp said that he heard the workout was horrible. Some people are calling Sapp a hater. Some people say, "Oh, Sapp's just a hater." But
he's one that you mentioned. He's never. He's stuck to his opinion. That's been Warren Sapp his whole career.
It's one of those things. Like I said, Colin's in the situation Colin's in because of Colin. No one put him in that situation but him. He did that shit to himself. So if he don't have a starting job, that's on him. I don't think he's going to get one. I think if it would have been good, they done signed him. I think they've done had him in there and
absolutely
they've been talking to him. And I just think he missed his window. He let too much outside noise from other people affect his moves that he made, and he shouldn't have fucking did that. He should have just stuck his time out on the bench at San Francisco, and then when his contract was up, he should have tried to went somewhere. Someone like Cleveland or someone would have probably grabbed his ass, the Jets or someone.
Maybe the Colts at that time. They didn't really have
they didn't have a quarterback either. They were struggling at that particular time too, especially because Luck had just left.
Luck, yeah. And, the Jim Harbaugh connection, the Colts were very tightly. I feel like he fit Jim Harbaugh. Some guys, we see it all the time. You're going to work in a coach's system. I think that was we mentioned Baker Mayfield earlier. He had 3 coaches in 4 years' time. He went through 2 in his first year. So it's kind of unfair. Yeah, he ain't the best player. We know that. We got eyes. But, it's kind of unfair to just act like he's a terrible teammate, can't get the ball to people. He had to switch offensive schemes 3 different times in 4 years. And this last year he was hurt. So Carolina, not that great of a team, but we'll see what he can do if healthy,
Yeah.
And same with Kaepernick. I just feel like nobody after Jim Harbaugh. We got
Cam Newton's like, good luck with that shit, Baker. Them motherfuckers are some bullshit.
Yeah. He's like, I'm going to go do my own podcast now. And I think,
can you believe that those motherfuckers fired me, called me back just to fire me again?
That's basically, it is what happened. He turned into Medea a little bit there. We've seen those jokes. But no, I feel like Cap was a hardball guy, and there's nothing wrong to say that. There's nothing. If he feels the way he feels, I'm with you. If he feels racially prejudiced against, that's fine. I'm not him. I don't understand what's going on in his mind. If he feels that way, fine. But the Baltimore workout also, his girlfriend was just a complete, I'll leave it at that. She was very difficult, even with management. So he like you said, he's letting other people influence his opinion, or not opinion, but his thinking process, I guess. And he's maybe thinking he was better than he was at that time. If you're in the league, you're going to take any job you can get because there's only 52 spots open, and you want to be.
And there's a draft every year.
There's a draft every year. You better be on your game.
And all it takes is for someone to have a 7-win season. They didn't forget all about your ass. If they get 7-8 wins that year, that they're like, hey, if he gives me 8-9 wins a year, he's an NFL quarterback for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
My God, look at Tannehill.
That man went out and made $100 million.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, look at that motherfucker. He didn't give a fuck. He was a journeyman. He'd tell you real quick, pay me and send me somewhere else. I don't give a damn.
Yeah. Mercenary.
Let's jump into baseball real quick. I ain't gonna spend a lot of time on it. I've not been watching. I do not get into baseball until the playoffs start. Really, season's too fucking long for me.
162, ain't it? We're almost at the midway point.
I just had this conversation today with Missy, and I had the same conversation with someone else, and we was talking about should they shorten it any, and I was like, yeah, and they was like, well, how short would you go? I said 80 fucking games, and they said 80 games. I'm like, how many times do you need to play some fucking body?
18 times apparently.
Sometimes I play in an MLB The Show, and I sit there and I look at the schedule when I'm going through, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to play Philadelphia again. Yeah. I've done played them 10 times. Like, oh my Lord, I just don't see the point in it. I guess that's supposed to be the hard part about baseball is you have to play 160 games or whatever, 162, whatever the game is now. But they wonder why it's struggling. That's why it's struggling. The game's too slow. The season's too long. What they also don't realize is that Americans are not built like they were 40 years ago
when it was American game.
The average American's not wanting to go out and sit in the July heat to watch fucking baseball, dude. No. It's too hot, especially when it takes as long as it does for one baseball game to go by, because of how slow it is, how slow the game is. So, I don't know, man. It is what it is. I don't know if they'll ever change it. Maybe at least get it down to 120 games or something, man.
See, I like that idea because baseball is so much fun. It's the most pure sport when there's a sense of urgency. Well, other than football, because you only have what is it now? 18 weeks, but 17 games, something like that.
Right.
17 games. When you got 162 games, if you cut it, I would say 81, but I mean the NBA plays 82, so then they would want to cut theirs in half. You know how NBA players are. We want to play 40, but we want paid $450 million, something like that. But no, baseball, I feel like if it was 100, maybe even 110, something like that, or 120, the sense of urgency, the playoff race is going to begin earlier. That's when it's fun for me. And I don't even watch the All-Star game anymore. But after, I get way more invested, and come playoff time, it's so much fun because, like you said, it's cooler. Fall is in the air. You can, put you some pumpkin spice on and just whatever else and watch.
But all that is if you're going to be at the stadium, man. You don't mind going to sit on the bleachers where there's no shade because it's not 110 degrees outside. And I'm here to tell you, this Midwestern heat's fucking hot, man.
Absolutely.
There's been, there's the game that we went to this year. I've only been to one this year. The game we went to, it was at the beginning of the year. I mean, beginning of the summer, and it after 6 innings, kids had enough. They're ready to get the hell out of there. I'm like, let's go. I had enough. The baby had enough. I was sweating. It was couldn't even wear your jersey without sweating too much. So
yeah, having a baby at a ballpark too in that heat, that's got to be fun. I'll just put it that way.
Top 20 real quick. You got the Angels we're going to start number 20. Angels come in at 20. The White Sox at 19. You got the Rangers, the Guardians, the Oilers. San Francisco rounds out the top 15, right, or the bottom 15 right there. Then you got the Marlins. St. Louis Cardinals are at number 13. They keep going up and down. They'll probably try to turn it on up a little bit more in the next month or so. It would be nice if they could go. They're probably not going to win it all, but it would be fucking nice if they could somehow pull it out. And they did, because it's Albert Pujols' last year. It's Manny's last year. And there's probably a few others in there that's probably going to end up pulling out after this year. They're all starting to get old. You got
Yachty, right?
You got Yachty is pulling out. You got Cartwright he's getting on up there too. Their pitcher. I mean, you got a couple of people that are starting to get pretty old. It is nice though that we did get to give Albert his last year in St. Louis and still somewhere else. You got the Phillies at number 12, the Blue Rays at number 11, the Red Sox at number 10.
Great game.
You got the Twins, the Rays, Padres, Brewers, the Mets round out the 5. And then the top 5 is you got New York at number 1. The Yankees have been awesome all year. I know because Nostradamus is a Yankees fan, and he lets me know all the time, blah, 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 Yankee bullshit. You got the Dodgers at number 2. The Astros at number 3. The Braves are number 4, and the Mets are number 5. I'm not, being a St. Louis fan, fuck the Mets. They did beat us down the past couple times they've come up here, but old pond scum they are.
A Reds fan, I'm ready for like 2044 when we're
the Reds fucking stink this year, dude. They were horrible. They lost like the first part of the season was terrible.
We won our first game, and then we lost our next like 21 or something like that. It was awful, and that's why it's tough to be a Reds fan. It is what it is, but like now I can watch their games, but why would I? I've been wanting to trade Joey Votto for years, not because I hate Joey Votto, because I love Joey Votto. He shouldn't be stuck there in all that misery, especially.
I actually have him on my team on St. Louis. Like, I'm in the year like 2025 or whatever. I have him. I got him in a free agency. He's not that great, but he's okay. Sometimes he comes through in big moments.
He's older now, so I mean, especially 25. I'm saying that now. So, but I wish I've said this for at least 5 years now. We should send Joey packing because he deserves a shot at a ring for what he's done for us in Cincinnati. And I mean, I'm always going to love him. The Canadian crippler. or whatever. Oh my God, I sound like Mean Gene now. But no, I love Joey. Looks like he's going to ride with us till death, though. But yeah, man, that's a solid top 5. I've predicted a Yankee Braves World Series for the last 4 or 5 seasons. The Braves finally eked it out last year, but I ain't gonna say nothing until playoff time gets here this year. So
I don't blame you. For the NASCAR fans in the audience, do not expect me to talk about NASCAR a lot because I do not watch NASCAR anymore. But I will give you some points running real quick. You got Chase Elliott in first. God, like some of these people I don't even know. This is how long it's been since I've watched NASCAR.
Bill's son, by the way, he got a win yesterday. He's the first to 3 wins.
Oh, well, I'll be damned. You got R. Chastain in second.
Yep.
Aches. Well, how the hell you say this guy's name? Cindric or Kendrick?
Oh, Cindric. He's a rookie. Yeah.
Yeah. Is he? Is he a rookie? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, damn, he's in third in the points right now.
Wow.
That's
impressive.
You got E. Jones in fourth. R. Blaney in fifth. I don't know how to say this guy's name either. Who's this? Dave Schuscher. SASUAREZ. That's a weird name. Hangley at number 7. Amarello at number 9. I'm number 8. You got Custard at 9. God, I don't know half these people. Burton at number 10. Martin Truex Jr. at number 11. You got Kevin Harvick at 12th. Larson at 13. Wallace Jr. at 14. McDonald at 15th. I don't know who that is either. Briscoe at 16. Don't know who that is. T. Gilland at 17. You got Klowski at number 18. Bell at 9. Kyle Busch at number 20. And that's as far as I'm going with it. When I was watching last, I was a Kyle Busch fan. I like him just a bit because how much people hate him, and it just makes me like him even more.
He loves
people
the hate
him. The people hate him so much. I liked him because the year I was watching, one of the last years I was watching, he gave Dale Earnhardt Jr. hell that entire season. Entire season, he showed everyone that Junior wasn't shit.
Yeah.
This kid ain't shit. Y'all keep hyping him and putting him up on this pedestal. This dude ain't shit. And, that's how I've always felt like the dudes had the best from day one. Dale Earnhardt Jr. had the best rest team with the biggest money, with the best parts, and the dude never could win a championship.
He won the fan vote for most popular driver probably every year that he drove.
And I don't even understand why the dude never won shit.
It's the name. NASCAR's very.
That's all it was. That's all it was.
It
was just because Dale was his daddy, man, and that was what made me resent him even more. I'm just so sick of everyone being a fan of him just because of who his daddy was.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. If people like me because of my daddy, I'd have a lot more fans probably, but maybe less. I don't know.
That's probably why people don't like me is because of my daddy. Hell, my daddy went worth of shit. Next up, we're going to talk about a little pro wrestling. We're not going to dive too deep into this because I could spend. Everyone knows how big of a wrestling fan I am. I could spend a whole podcast just talking about wrestling. So we'll go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room. It was the thing that Gene wanted me to talk about. It was the first thing I wrote down on here when I wrote down pro wrestling. If you've missed it, you had Jordan Grace, who come out and basically shit on the legacy of Chris Benoit. And it was the way she did it that was so tasteless, saying that he couldn't hang with today's wrestlers if he was alive. Okay. When she started getting the backlash from this, because regardless of what you want to say about the man, I'm not going to defend him. I wasn't there that night. I don't know what happened. I wasn't in the house. I don't know if the CTE scan, if that had something to do with it. If the dude was really just a piece of shit and decided to snap that night, I don't know. But what he did inside the ring had zero to do with that.
Agreed.
And she took the man's wrestling legacy part and tried to make a mockery of it And when she got the backlash clap back from the fans, because regardless of how people feel about Chris Benoit, he still has a very big following of loyal fans,
Absolutely.
fan base, because of the work that he did inside the ring. And once she started getting that clap back, then she said, see, then she tried to use it. Then she played as the defense part, like, oh, y'all all come at me sideways. Well, he lost the right of this and this and this when he decided to kill his family. That was a stupid thing. Because here's the thing is that Jordan Grace and Chris Benoit's never worked together. They're not from the same area. She took it upon herself to make this tweet about. She could have used anyone as an example of someone that is a current big wrestler that couldn't hang with today's kids. She could have used Chris Jericho, anyone for that matter, anyone besides Chris Benoit. She chose to use Chris. And then when she got the clap back, it was, well, he killed his family, which has nothing to do with his ring work. Now she's doubling down after she said, well, I'm not sorry, and this is why I said this and this and this. Now she's saying, oh, that I regret to inform y'all that I am sorry.
Yeah.
That was tasteless.
I was going to say I had seen something with David, the son, right?
Yeah.
And David, obviously, I mean, that was his little brother.
You know what? Well, everyone's seen it. That was that Conan put her in her place.
Yeah. I heard. What was Conan's words, by the way?
I can tell you. Hold on. I think I got it. Hold on a second.
Okay.
I bet you I can find it.
Chris Benoit, again, from my viewpoint, and this is from my grandpa being we're in kind of Crockett territory, I guess, being in West Virginia, not far from the Carolinas. So they would come here back in the day plenty. He was my uncle's big four horseman guys, Arn Anderson, right? Benoit. And I still remember, everybody kind of remembers that. If you're a wrestling fan, you remember what you were doing when Benoit was found dead, because it's just so crazy. It's such a crazy story. And to what Jordan said, I've always kind of felt this way, especially after hearing about his brain and his heart. Yes, it doesn't justify it's wrong, but it's basically like a dementia patient, from what I could gather. His brain was actually sent to Morgantown, WVU. Either the brain or the heart, I can't remember. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So he was on the latest 100 podcast. Conan gave his thoughts on the Jordan Grace comments about Chris Benoit. Grace said, among other things, that Benoit couldn't hang with today's wrestlers. Conan said the following: I can't believe that she would publicly come out and make an ass out of herself like that. He said, but that ain't the first time. She's had stupid takes, and with age comes wisdom. You'll all get here soon enough. He continued, obviously, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Benoit, without a doubt, out of all the years and all the dressing rooms and all the people I've worked with, is one of the greatest performers I have ever seen. His passion was second to none. His intensity was second to none. His preparation was second to none. What do you mean he couldn't hang with no one today, bro? 90% of the guys could not hang with him. That's the bottom line. I worked with them. And what do you mean that he would have forgotten everything? Listen, he said, listen, you could already tell that he was probably aggravated when he was talking.
Yeah.
He said, listen,
100's a real podcast.
If he was at a point where he was forgetting nobody would let him put together matches. Conan talked about Benoit being a ring general and even wrestling styles with faster and fly style. He said Benoit had the ability to control the match and say, hey, we don't need this. Take this out. Because wrestling with Rey Mysterio, he was a fucking guy that had to edit down and say, hey, do this. Juventud, do this. Psychosis, do this. So, I mean, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That's fucking ignorant. On Grace's comments about Benoit being a murderer, Conan said, okay, bro. Yeah, he killed his family. Yeah, the guy had CTE. It ain't like he was a serial killer. The guy had all these problems gleaming from years of what we're seeing now in wrestling, what we're seeing now in football, just like we saw with this one guy, the 33-year-old wide receiver, DeMarcus Thomas, that just passed away. It is a serious thing for you to make light of it. It's a stupid, idiotic remark. and it just shows you're an idiot.
Conan does keep it real, or what? Keep it 100. That's the name of the pod. It's him and Disco, right?
Right. And he said later on, Conan said, if you're going to bury somebody, you better have a better career than them. Chavo Guerrero also was not happy with Grace's comments about Benoit. It's also been rumored that Chris Jericho and others reached out to her because they were not happy with her comments about Chris Benoit. So in her apology, she ends up apologizing to Chavo and apologizing to Jericho. Well, we all know, here's the thing, is I don't think she's sorry. I think Jordan Grace is just one of those girls, and this is just the truth. She has a nice ass, nice face, guys, gorgeous girl. No one ever tells her to shut the fuck up. What happened was she stepped over the line, and Conan and them had heard enough, because apparently I follow her on Twitter some, and she is a huge clout chaser. This time it bit her in the ass. You come upon yourself. You had no reason to bring up Chris Benoit's family, the things that happened with Chris Benoit. Like I said, you could have used anyone as an example. There's 1,000 wrestlers you could have used for an example of today's wrestlers, comparing them to older wrestlers from back in the day. You didn't have to use Chris Benoit at all. Matter of fact, Chris Benoit is very known that if you're going to talk about any kind of wrestling, that name is forte anyway. Because he's got some nut fans, dude. There's some nut fans out there that you can't say nothing negative about that dude at all. They go off.
Even the killing, they will argue that, hey, he didn't do it. And like you said, we weren't there. We don't know what happened. If you're going to kill your, I don't know if the son was a top. I forget Daniel's, or I forget the little boy. Was his name Daniel? Daniel.
Yeah.
And Nancy. Conan knew Nancy, knew Chris. You know, there was a story about cocaine one time with Nancy Benoit down in Mexico with some other wrestler, and he was at this before her, Chris. But anyway, so he knows them well, right? These were his buddies, his friends, their colleague, her friends too. So that's almost like a spit in the face to the family. Also, what he did is, people say, unforgivable, but I look at it. That's what I was saying earlier. There's a story, a guy, very successful businessman, hits his 70s, late 70s, mid 80s, gets dementia, shot his neighbor and killed him, right? Didn't know who they were, but lived together for, I don't know, 40, not together, but in the same neighborhood for 40 years, close friends, didn't recognize him, shoots him and kills him. Was he heartbroken about it? No, he didn't know them. Maybe that's what happened to Benoit when they did the autopsy, apparently. And if somebody knows this better, they can, I could be wrong. But they said he had the mind of like an 80 or 70-year-old person with dementia from the CTE.
Mm-hmm.
So who's to say, we kind of know, but we don't know. We don't know what went through his head. And hopefully to God, there's a answer to CTE and dementia and Parkinson's and all these neurological.
And the thing that people don't never look at is, what if you're looking at the wrong person as the monster? What if, for all we know, and this happens a lot, we'll go ahead and shorten this up, but this happens a lot, and the type of lifestyle that Chris and Nancy live, with having the kind of money that Chris and Nancy had, Chris being on the road almost 300 something days out of the year, and I'm not saying that this happened, but I think of it from all angles.
Yeah.
What if, and I've brought this up to someone else before, and they said, damn, dude, I never thought of that. But what if it was Nancy that gave the kid Xanax to try to knock the kid out so she could party, gave the kid too much Xanax, OD'd the kid. Chris comes in, finds the kid dead, snaps, kills fucking Nancy in the process because he just realizes his son is dead. And then after he fucking calms down and comes to, he realizes, oh, fuck, now my son's dead and my wife is dead. I just killed Nancy. Then he takes himself out. There's so many possibilities of things that could have happened in that weekend that we don't fucking know about, dude. No one was there. You can't say, and I don't believe the crazy fucking conspiracy theories.
Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah, Kevin Sullivan went and killed him. I think Kevin Sullivan was well over Nancy at that point. I just don't think he was that vindictive, man. Kevin Sullivan's the type of guy that might try to book you wrong and get over on you, like give you some Hogan booking. But I just don't think he was ever that type of dude. And it was so many years later. If it would have happened like a year or two after like a year after or something, I might have said, okay, that was a possibility. He had something to do with it.
You could question
that shit was like 7, 8 years later, dude. Like it was
maybe longer.
Maybe longer. It was a long time since Chris first came into WCW and him and Nancy had got together.
Yeah.
So it was like, dude, people don't know.
We don't. I mean, we really, I think most people that I've talked to were like, yeah, I was a Benoit. There's not many folks that weren't Benoit fans. WrestleMania 20, the ending to that, is one of the greatest that I've ever witnessed, and that was before I didn't pay attention to it till Eddie's death, right? But it's still phenomenal finish. Don't care. They've cut it from the network, all that, or they had. I don't know about now. I don't have Peacock, but anyway.
What was it? What was the line that Jericho used? And the way Jericho explained it was, if the thing that mattered so much to Chris was his legacy as a wrestler, if he knew that this was going to be his legacy, it would have murdered him. It would have killed him, because that was all he cared about, was his legacy as a wrestler. So that's what makes me question a lot of things that happened that weekend, because it's just that, and anyone that knew the guy, here's the thing. If you sit down and listen to an interview of anyone, if something that happened where this person snapped and killed his family, or he snapped and killed his friend, there's a couple of motherfuckers that go, oh man, there were signs. This guy come in, he was crazy one day and had an attitude problem, and like he scared us all. Like, and Chris, there was never none of that with Chris. That's like the part about it, like, is, I just don't buy it. I think there was something else more to it than just like him going in and saying, oh, okay, well, today I'm going to kill my wife and my child.
Exactly. Unless it was just the brain, like the CT, the Sanford, the guy that he went to I want to say University of South Carolina. It could have been a smaller school, but this wasn't long at all. He shot 6 or 7 people at work. Used to play for the 49ers and a couple other teams.
Yep.
He shot 6 or 7 people and then killed himself. And people were like, oh, what a monster. Well, you look at his brain, and, yeah, it's horrific what happened, but why aren't we focusing more on trying to, I don't know, limit brain damage or whatever, That's my question. That's where I'm coming from. Like, yeah, it's a monstrous thing to do, but is that them? I don't think so.
Let me pull this up. I just seen that Missy had sent it to me before we go. I gotta bring this up because me being a Chiefs fan.
Did you hear the Herbert thing?
This is from Travis Kelce responds with being heckled by Raider fans on a hole of 18 of the ACC Golf Championship. He said, I tell Raider fans all the time, I love them. I love seeing them because I know I'm getting a dub in 200 yards.
I mean, he ain't wrong. He's the best wide receiver / tight end.
Dude makes some catches, man, that just the only tight end I remember that had hands like that was Lutzenkirchen. From Auburn that died. That's the only. I think that's the kind of impact player that he would have been if he would have lived. He would have been a Kelce type in the NFL.
Kelce's just terrifically athletic, amazing, fast for tight end. He's completely transformed the position, and I hate him, to be fair, but he's so good. That's why. I mean, I do. I have to admit, I don't like Kittle either, but that's just me. That's me.
We'll see. We'll see what they do this year. It was a letdown after last year, but
yeah,
just being there was a privilege. You have to tell yourself that you made it to the Super Bowl at least. So
yo,
lose you lose. It is what it is. Well. Yep, that's going to wrap it up. That's a good first episode there, sir.
The Sports Hounds, man, I loved it. I loved the feedback. We got some more stuff we didn't even really touch on, but that's saved for a rainy day now, I guess, right? Like I love the fact we still got more to talk about.
Yeah, that saves next week we might try to do a special segment show where it's about just one particular topic.
Okay.
We might pick out a fight or a previous game or
it's hard
something.
to tell what pops up in the sports world between now and then, if there's a crazy NBA trade or NFL demand or something, maybe injury. We don't know. That's the fun part about sports. There's so much uncertainty. Even when you know you got it figured out, you never do.
Well, we're going to go ahead and sign on off. Y'all have a good night, and thank you for joining us. This is the Sports Hounds. I am Tommy D. That is, who you got there? JRH?
Yeah, the 3 most deadly letters in the English dictionary.
JRH?
Yeah. Justin Randall Hicks, so Justin Hicks here, the other sports hound. It was a pleasure, man. We always have fun. I love talking to you. Love talking sports. I love when we get any kind of meme from you. It's pretty. I'll keep them privately, but love doing this, man.
Me too, man. We will see y'all next week.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog, the cry